Blackbird Night School, Day 9. The love you swore you didn't want. There's a reason this class only meets at night. Not because it's dark outside, but because it's dark inside. Because this is the hour when the ego thinks everybody's asleep, so it can whisper its private madness without getting caught. And tonight, that whisper says, "Do not look at me." Because if the light ever hits what sits at the core of the ego, the game is over. And what sits at the core is hatred of God, not irritation, not theological disagreement. Hatred so total it would set the whole universe on fire if it meant keeping the illusion of me alive for one more breath. But don't look away. Blackbird Night School is the only classroom where hiding gets graded as failure and looking gets graded as freedom. The night you finally admit the unthinkable. Imagine a child who runs away from home, not because the house was unloving, but because the child wanted power. The child wanted to be the parent. The child wanted to decide who lives, who dies, who gets punished, and who gets praised. So the child throws a tantrum, breaks the furniture, slams the door and screams, "I hate you and now I'm going to prove you wrong." That child is the ego. The house is heaven. And the tantrum became the cosmos. This is why the ego's system is a package deal. You can't take the fantasy of separation without also swallowing guilt, fear, projection, specialness, the body, and death. Because if you believe you stole something from God, you must believe He's coming to take it back. And the mind would rather hate than admit it imagined the whole crime. The God who wouldn't wave back. The hatred didn't begin with rebellion. It began with something much smaller and much pettier, a cosmic sulk. Picture standing on a balcony, waving up at the sky, wanting just a nod, a little "I see you." And when nothing comes, the ego decides, "If you won't notice me, I'll make a world that cannot ignore me." A universe built as a revenge poem, planets made of grievance, bodies that ache just to prove something is wrong. Special loves and special hates to prove individuality exists. And behind every line is the unspoken sentence, "You pushed me to this." God becomes the scapegoat for the dream the mind insisted on. The Jesus problem. If Jesus stands as the symbol of perfect love, then hatred of God will land on Him first. Because the ego does not want to be anything like Him. It does not want forgiveness. It does not want equality. It does not want sameness. It wants specialness dipped in gold. So when Jesus says, "Forgive me," the ego hears, "Stop pretending this little identity is real." He is not hated for what He did, but for what He represents. And what He represents stands directly behind Him. The immaculate selfishness of the separated self. Selfishness is not a character flaw here. It's the ego's prime directive. All I care about is me, even if me is miserable. That's why nationalism thrives. That's why tribalism thrives. That's why competition thrives. That's why relationships become bargaining systems. That's why the body screams for attention like a starving pet. Everything says, "Notice me, validate me, feed me, praise me, fear me, need me." Because if the world is looking at me, God is not. This is the hatred we're talking about. Not fire-breathing hatred, but daily operational hatred. The hatred hidden inside the wish to exist as something separate at all. The biblical God, a perfect projection. The biblical God is the ego wearing a mask. Sometimes merciful, sometimes raging, sometimes love your enemies, sometimes destroy your enemies. But always built on the belief that sin is real, punishment is required, and somebody has to pay. This God is the ego's favorite deity. Because if God is angry, then the ego must have pulled off the crime, which means the ego exists, which means the separation worked, hatred disguised as theology. The horror that isn't horrifying once seen. You do not have to dig with a shovel to find the hatred of God. You do not have to meditate for lifetimes. You do not have to become a monk or confess to a priest. You only have to notice what the mind already does. Every grievance is hatred of God in disguise. Every special love is hatred of God in perfume. Every desire to be seen is hatred of God wearing makeup. Every need to be right is hatred of God in a business suit. Every fear of punishment is hatred of God rehearsing its lines. Every belief in the body is hatred of God taking attendance. The ego's motto is always, I exist, even if I must kill love to do it. What happens when you finally look? You realize the hatred was never real, never personal, never yours. Just a dream blaming the light for the darkness it made. And the moment the mind stops flinching, stops defending, stops pretending the hatred isn't there, it dissolves. Because no hatred can survive being honestly seen. And underneath it is only the love that was never gone.